this is going to help to create that enabling platform for us to continue to work together. I would like to please call on each and every one of you to please just introduce yourself. I'll please appreciate if you give us your name, the organization that you're working with, and maybe your area of work. So if you could please just keep it, brief, that would be great. And I'm going to start with my brother here, who is looking at me directly. Then we'll move this way. All right. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I'm Ronnie Dempers. I work for Namibia Development Trust. We are in building capacity of community-based organizations. I'm also part of a newly formed Apex civil society body called NAMNET. Yeah, so.
Good morning. My name is Zoe Titus. I am with the NMT Media Foundation. We work in the area of media policy, freedom of expression, access to information, and youth and civic participation around those issues. We are also a founding member of Civic 264 based on our Access to Information Directive.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and good morning to everyone. Is this mic on? Yes. I think I'm audible enough. My name is Absai Kashululu. Oh, I can't hear myself. My name is Absai Kashululu. I'm the National Training Coordinator at Women's Action for Development, a local NGO. The organization was simply founded upon the principles of women empowerment, especially rural women, in both economic and political development.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Josephina Ngishono from the Council of Churches in Namibia. I'm a program officer under the Natural Resource Governance Program. I am here on behalf of Mr. Uhuru Demper. I was supposed to be at the other side, NASTIVET conference. However, since he's at the National Youth Council, he said I should come and stand in for him. Thank you. He gives his apologies for not being here.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Kevin Vessels. I'm representing Equal Namibia today. I am the advocacy and legal officer. Equal Namibia is an LGBTQ plus rights-based organization.
Morning all, my name's Ben Begbie-Clench. I work with San communities in Namibia in various aspects and in some of the neighbouring countries. And I'm a board member of Nyanya Development Foundation and for Palms for Life.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ben, different surname, Shernik, Director of the Nutrition and Food Security Alliance of Namibia. The link to the government structures around food and nutrition security. So mainly it's about the right to nutritious food. Also part of the BIG coalition around inequality, poverty, and we're also executive member of NAMNET, which co-organized with we're establishing our collaboration with Civic.
Good morning all. My name is Yalongo G and I am coming from SOS Children's Villages Namibia, a national programs director. We are a child care organization as well as a designated child protection organization. Thank you.
Good morning everyone. I am Yalzatani Rachter. I am from Council of Churches in Namibia. I work under the Women's Desk as well, and Reverend James did send me in his place this morning, and he sends his apologies.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jafet, surname David. I am from NNAD, which is a deaf association, and I am representing the director of NNAD, which is Mr. Paulo Nanyeni. So we are busy with an app for sign language dictionary or words. Oh, good morning, everyone. My name is Aune Ashikuti, your sign language interpreter.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Helena Ndala, sign language interpreter.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Petra Dillman, and next to me is Michael Dillman. We are from the Autism Association of Namibia, and as the organization name says, we are concerned with autism, from babies to children to young adults to adults. As autism is becoming more known in Namibia, our work is increasing daily.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much. And oh, the last floor. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. My apology.
We are praising that. Thank God that you forgot us. Yeah, my name is Mahongora Kavihuha. I'm a chairperson of Namibia Civil Society Non-State Actors Network, NAMNET in short. But I'm originally from a trade union. I'm a Secretary General of Trade Union Congress of Namibia. That is all what we do for now. Yeah.
Good morning, all. My name is Regina King Ramses. I am a Sun Youth representing the Indigenous Minorities Organization of Namibia. I am a qualified student teacher, and I'm here to learn. It's good to be here. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Wally Ronaldo Ahmed. I am a media personality and a advocate to the indigenous youth minorities of Namibia as well. I am particularly from the Khao IC community, a very small indigenous tribe in Namibia, in the eastern side of Namibia. My work here is to amplifying the voices of the previously marginalized groups. Thank you.
I'm Levine Smith. I'm representing a few organizations. I'm a director at Side by Side and overseeing education for children with disabilities. And then I'm also the National Director of Special Olympics Namibia, where we have various programs for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, often unseen disability, where we do work in different fields, not just sport, but also health, education, and youth leadership development. And we work closely with Ben's office as well there. And then I'm also the chairperson for Down Syndrome Association of Namibia. So overall representing people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And I am a proud mother to a 9-year-old son with Down syndrome. And a business owner that employs young adults with IDD. So various sectors.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Bianca Oscan. I represent Namibia Alliance for Rare Diseases, together with Multiple Sclerosis Namibia, Cancer Association of Namibia, and Okanti Foundation. We basically formed the alliance in 2019. I'm also the founder of Multiple Sclerosis Namibia, a rare condition for sub-Saharan Africa, very, very foreign for Namibia, but very common in Europe and Asia and the Americas. I'm also the founder of Primary Immunodeficiencies Namibia because I lost my son as a result of a rare condition which is called Wiskott-Aldrich syndrome. So what we are doing in Namibia is we are the hub for all rare conditions in Namibia. We drive advocacy, we drive support for the caregivers and the patients, of course, and we are the link between doctors and insurances, as well as all other civil society groups that are affected and working in the space with rare conditions. We provide the necessary education and, most importantly, awareness, number one, and then we look for funding to support all these courses that we are doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mitri Shadamo from chairperson of the Okakarara Constituency Civil Society Network.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Apologies for coming late. It's really a crazy morning. My name is Salen Kambinda. I am the executive director of an organization called Positive Vibes Trust. We work in the space of othering, people that are pushed to the periphery in terms of their gender identity or sexual orientation or expressional characteristics. We are a Namibian organization, but have a footprint all over Africa and globally. We work with LGBT communities, sex workers, adolescent girls and young women. Yes, that's for now. What can I say about myself? I've just learned to swim. Gosh.
Thank you.
Sorry, I forgot to mention, I'm also here today for the National Federation of People with Disabilities. Mr. Matthew Hashongo is asking his apologies. He is also at another meeting. And also, I've got the very important job that I'm actually the president of the World Autism Organization as well.
Thank you so much. I don't think you need any introduction, but
good morning, colleagues. My name is Francis Igiriogu. So I'm the Anti-Racial Discrimination Advisor for the UN Human Rights Office, the Regional Office for Southern Africa. I'm glad to have you here. Thank you.
thank you so much, Francis. Francis, will you mind to help me just pass this quiz around, please? 5 minutes for you to take the quiz. Yes? No, not now. Complete the quiz and then we will deal with the questions later. can see that some people are sharing notes. 3 more minutes. Whether you got the answers right or it was wrong. And I will also suggest that you hand over your quiz to the person next to you to help you to do the correction. And then you can discuss and see where you got the answers right or wrong. So it was just for us to think about the UPR. So colleagues, thank you so much again for coming. This morning we are going to start with an introduction to the Universal Pedagogy Review. And I'm going to take you through the mechanism, and then there's going to be a separate session where I'll also take you through what role can civil society organizations play in the entire process of the UPR. In the course of this presentation, I'm going to be using the acronym, the UPR, which is the Universal Pedagogy Review. the mechanisms that exist under the auspices of the International Human Rights Framework. And I think the first thing that we have to look at when we talk about International Human Rights Framework, we need to first look at the UN Charter. The UN Charter is the founding document of the United Nations, which is grounded on fundamental human rights principles, calling on all states and all member states of the UN to adhere to human rights. But in addition to that, we also have what we refer to as the 9 core human rights treaties. I made mention of it a few minutes ago. Can somebody in the room tell me how many treaties has been ratified by the government of Namibia? Out of the 9 treaties, how many has been ratified by the government of Namibia? Yes? Great. 7 has been ratified by the government of Namibia. And I'm going to take you through the 9 core human rights treaties. So, in terms of the UN human rights system, it is also informed by the 9 core human rights treaties. And I'm going to take you through those treaties. These treaties are not just instruments on paper. They also have what we refer to as treaty monitoring bodies that are responsible for monitoring implementation of these treaties. And they are made up of committee of experts that ensures that countries that are party to these treaties implement the treaties at a national level. So when you are a state party to the treaty, you submit periodic report and also an initial report. So we are going to look at that in due course. And then the last mechanism is what we refer to as the mechanisms under the Human Rights Council, where we have the UPR and we also have the special procedures. I'm going to elaborate more on this. But one thing that I also want to mention to you is that the International Human Rights Framework doesn't work in isolation. It also complements the regional human rights framework, and here we are referring to the African human rights system. Within the African human rights system, you have the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and under that as well, and within that framework, you have a body that is also known as the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. And I'm sure some of you must have engaged with the Commission. Within the African human rights system, you have several human rights instruments. You have the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. So there are several human rights instruments. You also have the Maputo Protocol. So there are several human rights instruments. So the two mechanisms, international and regional, they complement each other. However, it is important to ensure that we have the national mechanism in place at the domestic level that can be able to translate all these international norms and principles at the national level. And that is where the National Human Rights Framework comes in. And here we are talking about the National Human Rights Framework in Namibia, where you have a constitution, you have a Bill of Rights, you have the Office of the Ombudsman, you have several institutions, you have the courts, you have the police, you also have laws as well, and these laws have to be implemented. So the 3 layers of mechanism, they complement each other, they don't work in isolation. So when we talk about the UN human rights system, this is just to depict to you what I mentioned before, that in the UN human rights system we have what is called the treaty-based system. And in terms of the treaty-based system, it has 9 core human rights treaties, which I'm going to show you in the next slide. But I want to focus more on the mechanism under the Human Rights Council. I don't know if some of you have engaged with the Human Rights Council before. The Human Rights Council is the main body within the UN system that is responsible for fostering the promotion and protection of human rights. The Council was established in 2006, replacing what was formerly known as the Human Rights Commission. The Council engages with all 193 member states of the UN, but the Council itself has 47 member states. These 47 member states are divided as per the 5 regions of the world. Within the African states, we have 13 states, Asia Pacific 13, Eastern Europe we have 6, Latin America and the Caribbean we have 8, Western Europe we have 7. And what happens is that when you are elected to be a member of the Human Rights Council, you can serve for 3 years, and you can be re-elected for another 3 years, but you cannot serve more than 2 consecutive terms. Can somebody tell me 2 countries in our sub-region that are members of the Human Rights Council? 2 countries in our sub-region. Yes, and? No, sorry. There's one that starts with an M. Malawi. Great. So South Africa and Malawi are the 2 countries in the sub-region that are members of the Council. And what is the role of the Human Rights Council? The role of the Human Rights Council is to engage with states, engage in dialogues, look at thematic issues with the aim of addressing human rights in various countries. But one thing that I also want to mention to you is that when states of the UN, every 4.5 years, and that is where the UPR was born, so that it could review the human rights record of states, and that is going to be the crux of this presentation. We are going to focus on the UPR. Broad overview of the UN human rights system. Within the UN human rights system, we have also what is referred to as the special procedures. Special procedures are independent experts. They are not staff members of the United Nations. They are not paid by the United Nations. They work in their independent capacity. They work on thematic issues. For example, rights of persons with albinism, rights of persons with disabilities, water, health, sanitation, education, food, and SOGI rights as well. And then you also have special rapporteurs that do focus on specific countries. So if I take you now to the next slide, the reason why this is so important is because when we talk about the 9 core human rights treaties, it is important for you to know all these treaties. So we have, firstly, we have the 2 covenants, which you have the covenant on civil and political rights, and also the covenant on economic, social, and cultural rights. We have 3 other human rights treaties that deal with specific phenomena. Here we are referring to the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, which we are going to look at in the afternoon. Then we also have the Convention Against Torture and Other Inhumane and Degrading Treatment. We have a Convention on Enforced Disappearance. Then in terms of specific groups, we have a convention that focuses on the rights of women, rights of children, rights of migrant workers, and persons with disabilities. Namibia has not ratified the Convention on the Rights of Migrant Workers and members of their families, and also the Convention on Enforced Disappearance. So getting to the crux of this presentation, I'm going to be a bit faster now because of time. Just want to mention to you that we are here because of the UPR. As I mentioned to you, when the council was created, the Human Rights Council was mandated to review the human rights record of all 193 member states of the UN. And this had to be done in a periodic manner, but there were some guiding principles that it has to be objective, it has to be reliable, it has to treat states equally, and it has to apply a universal approach. We have gone through the first cycle of the UPR. Namibia was reviewed in the first cycle in 2011. Then we have gone through the second cycle. Namibia was reviewed in 2016. We've gone through the third cycle. Namibia was reviewed in 2021. Now we are going through the fourth cycle. Namibia is going to be reviewed in May 2026. And what you need to ask yourself is, what is a UPR? The UPR, firstly, it is an intergovernmental body. It is an intergovernmental mechanism where states review fellow states. I want to, in terms of the treaty body, a periodic manner, every 4.5 years, and it ensures that there's universal coverage and also there is equal treatment of states. So states are treated equally. But one thing that we also have to look at in terms of the UPR is that it is a mechanism that ensures that the reviews are conducted in an objective, transparent, non-selective, in a very constructive way, in a manner that is non-confrontational and it is non-politicized. But one thing that it is so important for me to emphasize on is that if you look at the UPR, it reviews both civil and political rights and economic, social, and cultural rights as compared to the treaty bodies. The treaty bodies, once a country is going to be reviewed, the country is reviewed based on the substantive content of that treaty. But here it looks at all the gamuts of human rights. It is also important for me to mention that the UPR doesn't work in isolation. It complements other human rights mechanisms. So it complements the treaty bodies, it complements the special procedures. The review is done 3 times a year, in January, in May, and in November, and in each session, 14 countries are reviewed. The ultimate objective of the UPR is to foster improvement on human rights. But one thing that I also want to mention is that although it reviews states, it provides a platform for other stakeholders to participate in the process. Civil society, national human rights institutions, the UN. So it brings on board other stakeholders as well to participate in the process. And as I mentioned, the ultimate goal is to foster the promotion and protection of human rights. Now, the UPR, in terms of the obligation that it looks at how a state is fulfilling its obligations under the UN Charter, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights instruments that you have ratified. It also looks at voluntary pledges, and it also looks at applicable international humanitarian law. But now, the review is based on what? The review is based on what? The review is based on 3 documents. 3 documents. The first document is a document that is submitted by the state. So this is a state report, and that is why we were here in this same room in the past 2 days to provide support to the government to prepare its own report. So this is a state report. That report has to be prepared in a consultative manner. We always advise states to consult with civil society actors. However, let's not be naive. Sometimes consultation can be very cosmetic, just to tick the box. And sometimes the states can also adopt a very selective approach in terms of engaging with civil society actors. And that is why it is so important that even though you engage in the state process, you still exercise that discretion to make your own submission. So the second report that is also submitted is what is called compilation of UN information. We as a UN, we make our own submission. So we just supported the UN country team here to make their own submission. So which is compiled as UN compilation. But the third point, that is where you come in. Civil society. You also have to make your own submission. And your submission is very key. Before joining the UN, I worked in a civil society sector back in my country, Cameroon. It is so important for you to be mindful of the fact that as civil society actors, you play a very important role in terms of informing the human rights landscape of your country. You play a very vital role. So it is so important for you to make your submission, because there are things that, I'm not saying that this is what is transpiring, but sometimes the state may not articulate on issues in a manner that is suitable for civil society actors. You may have a different point of view. Then you can also make your own submission so that you can inform the review. So that is why your submission is very key. In addition to your submission, we also encourage the National Human Rights Institution. In your context, it is the Office of the Ombudsman, to make a submission. So these are some of the things that we have to look at. So these are the 3 reports that do inform the review. And who conducts the review? I'll just take you through this quickly. The review is conducted by what is called the UPR Working Group, which consists of the 47 member states of the council, but it doesn't cancel the fact that other states can participate in the process. I'm already answering some of the questions in the quiz, if you are following it keenly. So in one of the questions in the quiz, it says, who are those that conduct the review? And one of the question is that it is only the 47 member states of the UN, of the Human Rights Council. No, all the member states of the council of the UN do take part in the review process. The review is facilitated by what is referred to as a troika. A troika is a group of 3 states that do help to facilitate the review process. So how does the review work? A state is reviewed for a period of 3 hours, 30 minutes. The state is allocated 70 minutes to do a presentation on its report, and then 140 minutes is divided among states that have recommendations. So states are allocated about 2 to 3 minutes to put forward their recommendations. And what is the final outcome? The final outcome is that there's going to be an outcome document, which is supposed to be reviewed by the state. Under review is going to be adopted at the level of the UPR Working Group, and then 4 to 5 months after the review, the report is adopted by the Human Rights Council. And this is where civil society organizations, you have a key role to play. You are going to see that during the review process, a state cannot reject a recommendation. A state can either support a recommendation or to note a recommendation. You have also seen that the government of Namibia has always noted recommendations on SOGI rights issues. And that's why we have to continue to advocate, because issues concerning LGBTQI rights. So if I may just put it that way. So it is so key, and I'm so happy that we have actors in the room working on this, because it is an area of work that we are also pushing in the sub-region. I want to ensure that once the state has been reviewed and before the report is adopted, we always advise the state to engage with stakeholders and also explain to you, why is the government noting this recommendation? Why can the government not support the recommendation? So we have to continue to engage on that. So that is a window of opportunity for you to stakeholders. And as civil society actors, you can really use these recommendations as a tool for advocacy to engage with the government to push for these issues. In terms of the recommendations, you have to do. I'm going to divide you into groups later. You have to learn